Hi everybody, thanks again for checking out this video. For those of you that are not currently subscribed, definitely go ahead and hit that subscribe button and make sure to hit that bell icon to further help support this channel. The bell icon will give you notifications each time that I upload new content. You can also help support this channel by going into my direct YouTube channel, going into the store tab, and taking a look at all the airsoft accessories and apparel that I have to offer. This will allow you to rock some Airsoft King flair and at the same time help greatly support this channel for me to continue to produce some epic content. And without further ado, hope you guys enjoy this video and we'll get right into it. So the purpose for today's video is going to be just an overall what works and what doesn't work as far as compatibility across various Glock variants, various manufacturers, and just little nuances here and there. A lot of questions I've been getting from you guys in the comments is still some more of those compatibility questions, which I feel I can keep writing a book about just various questions and answers. Some of them I don't even have answers to the point where we're going to hopefully find out today your answer to your questions, and hopefully it'll be something of a takeaway for you. I did exclude a couple Glock variants because they were ones that were not frequently asked, so just for the record, I did not include my Glock 26, my double barrel Glock 18C, and my Glock 42. So just wanted to put that out there that really we're going to focus on just a few variants, the Glock 17s, 18C, 35, 19, and the 23. So just wanted to reference that, and we're going to get a chance to kind of play around with some of the inner and outer barrels, the magazine compatibility, maybe even the slide compatibility. I'll try to think of various different things based on your comments. So let's get right into it. So first comment I get typically is about the Elite Force Glock. So I have the Elite Force Glock 17 model, and one question I get is mag compatibility. So which variants work with this particular Glock model? So right now, just for reference, I do have the OEM Elite Force magazine in my Elite Force Glock 17. Obviously, the compatibility is going to be perfect. The point of this test is making sure that the magazine can go into the gun, that it can lock the slide back, and that it can cycle smoothly without getting stuck up anywhere. So that is going to be kind of the overall positive result that we're going to be testing. So obviously we have the factory mag, works no problem. Next up, I have a WeTech G18C/G17/G34 and 35 magazine. Keep in mind the lower is the same on all of those Glock variants, so the magazine pretty much works across those variants. So let's go ahead and see if this particular mag works in the Elite Force Glock 17. Keep in mind I do have it loaded because I do want to cycle a few BBs. I'm not going to fire anything, just going to cycle to make sure and see if it actually chambers it in and if it can do so successfully. So number one, it sits in the pistol just fine, and there's no issues with it coming out. The mag release works as intended, so that's already an A+ right there. So now in this case, I'm going to try to rack the slide, and then I'm going to lock the slide back. Okay, so no issues there. So now we're going to go ahead and do just a power cycle, whatever that's called. And that seems to work just fine. So BBs are going in. It's a super fluid slide motion, as you can tell. The BBs are rolling out. So I would say that's a success. In this case, it looks like it's able to rack the BBs in just fine, and everything works as intended. So I would say that definitely works. The WeMags work pretty much okay in this particular gun. Next thing, we're going to try a KJW Glock magazine, which in this case, I don't know why it's, there we go. So we're going to go ahead and try this. This is from the KP17, also known as the Glock 17, but just KJW's version of it. And we're going to go ahead and try it. So again, mag is in there, so it is working pretty good. Comes out just fine, no problems there. Now let's go ahead and we'll just see if it locks back. Locks back, no problem. Cycles pretty smooth. Yeah, so it looks like that one works out pretty good. No issues there at all. Again, that was the KP17 magazine. It's pretty snug in there, nothing rattling. Same with the WeTech magazine. Pretty good so far. Now, next up, we're going to go ahead and try another We product, and it's going to be their extended magazine. So I have a fully loaded magazine. Again, this one works across all We Glock models, so anything from G17 all the way to the G26. It's going to work with everything in between. How about the Stark arms? Let's take a look. So it clicked in there without any issues. It's looking really good, really intimidating. Now, definitely locks back without any issues. And again, very fluid, no problems. At least I think the magazine spring got stuck or something. Let's try that one more time. There we go, now it's working. So you can see those BBs are coming out just fine, so meaning if it's doing this right now without being fired, it will fire just fine if you actually did shoot it live. Now, the other variants that I wanted to test, it's not going to work, I'll tell you right off the bat. So this is from the Glock 23 by WeTech, and it's the same mag size as the Glock 19. It is just far too short, and it will not work in any Glock models other than the 23, the 19, or the G26. So just something to keep in mind there. So we just went ahead and tested that successfully, and it definitely does work inside an Elite Force pistol. Okay, so how about now? Now we have the WeTech Glock 17. This is the chrome or stainless steel edition. We obviously know that the We mags are going to work just fine. I'm not going to test that, but what we're going to test on this is I do have the Elite Force Glock 17 magazine ready to go with a few BBs, so we're going to go ahead and do the same exact test. We're going to make sure that the mag actually sits inside the pistol, the mag release works just fine, the slide locks, and we're able to cycle in a few BBs. So insertion, again, it's pretty solid, it's not loose. The mag release works perfect, no problems there. It's probably a lot more softer of a mag release than the Elite Force, I've noticed. Locking the slide back works pretty good. Looks like I was able to chamber one in, no problem. We'll run a few through that. Yeah, and it locks back perfectly. So that definitely is successful. The Elite Force Glock 17, Glock 18C magazines will work with the WeTech pistols. Now the next one I have is again that KP17. This is the KJW Glock 17 magazine that we're going to do the same exact test on. So insertion, pretty solid, comes out without any resistance of any kind, pretty snug, locks back just fine. And again, that's doing a pretty good job too. We'll see if we can get it to lock on its own here. Yep, that locks back just fine. So I would say that's definitely a success. So the WeTech Glocks, the Glock 17, 18, and honestly all the We Glocks are going to be able to take both of these magazines just fine. The KP17 and the Elite Force 17 magazine. Alright, so next test we're going to do same exact thing on the KP17. Again, this is KJW's Glock model, Glock 17. Obviously, we already know that this is the factory mag. It's going to work just fine as it's intended. We're going to be testing mainly the two magazines here, which is going to be, again, the WeTech and the Elite Force Glocks as well. The other thing I didn't test, obviously, in the We pistol was the extended mag. Again, we know it's going to work because this is a We branded magazine, so we're going to test that out as well. So first things we're going to start with is the Elite Force Glock 17 magazine. So let's go ahead and we'll do the same test. Locks in there perfectly. Magazine stays in and comes out as intended, which is perfect. Now we're going to go ahead and lock it back. Again, locks back, cycles pretty smooth, no problems at all. Just going to cycle through the rest of this magazine. There we go. Locked back, no problem. Need to get a better recoil spring in there. This thing really doesn't Even with the factory mag, it's not so good. Anyway, that's a pass, I would say. That's doing really good. Now, let's go ahead and try with a WeTech magazine. We got a few rounds in here. Gets in there pretty good. Nice and snug. Again, locks up with no problem. So again, perfect. Doing exactly what it's supposed to. So that's definitely a pass on that mag. Next, we're going to try the extended magazine. Okay, that's in there pretty good. Mag release works as intended. Comes out with ease, no problem. And again, that cycles perfectly. I'm not going to clear the whole mag because there's like 20 more rounds in there, but to me, that is successful, and it does work in the KP17 for those of you that may still have one of these model Glocks. Alright, so another question that I've gotten a lot is, are the KJW uppers and lowers swappable with the upper and lower of a Wii pistol? So, for reference, I will just focus on the Glock 17 variants because I do not have any other Glock 18C variants from other manufacturers to test this on. But either way, we're going to go ahead and we're going to check it out, and we're going to see if, let's say for example, the entire upper is swappable with the entire upper of the Glock 17. So why don't we go ahead and start with that first. So let's check it out. Let's see what happens. Alright, so again, nothing really crazy. I'm not going to take apart the rest of the upper yet. We're going to do some more testing with that. But so right here, again, lower frame of the Wii 17, lower frame of the KP 17. So why don't we go ahead and test out the KP 17 slide and entire upper basically with the Wii lower. So again, we'll see if the rails work. Okay. I'm going to say it does not work. The upper is much narrower than the frame, or than the rails on the lower frame. So for this to slide on, it makes contact with the rails, but again, it just does not work as it's intended to. So for those of you that may want to try this, and I'm trying to finagle it any way I can, but you may not want to do it because if you get it stuck, you might have to force some things which will cause some problems. So that's a fail. The KP17 upper does not work with the Wii lower, so we busted that myth. Now let's go ahead and try the opposite of that. So I feel kind of my assumption here is that this should work because this is a little bit wider than the frame or than the lower of the original KP or upper. I'm sorry, I'm going to be probably mixing those up a lot, so I apologize. Okay, so very odd combo, tan with chrome slide. That's not bad. That seemed to work. It's on there pretty snug. It's not even loose or janky or nothing like that. So why don't I throw a mag in there and see if it locks it up? Oh, it does. Okay, very cool. I kind of figured it would work the other way, so now let's try the OEM magazine, the KP17. That locks just fine too. For the heck of it, why don't we try Elite Force? So I did Wii KP17 mag and Elite Force. Ooh, forgot that was a gassed up magazine. So again, I got some BBs, cycled through them, and just like that, it worked perfectly. So that works. The Wii uppers will work with the KJW lowers. So again, for those of you that are kind of swapping parts around here and there, that'll definitely work. Well, while we're here, why don't we try to see if we can bust the same myth with the Elite Force 17. Let's see how compatible these uppers and lowers are with the other two models. So let me go ahead and get this thing off here. Okay, so now we can go ahead and try KP17 on the Elite Force lower. I feel like it should work because I feel like they're evenly narrow, but ooh, it's not friendly, I'll say that. It locks in place, which kind of looks cool. but it will not move back. So this to me is not functioning correctly. Got a little paranoid thinking I wouldn't be able to get that off, but there we go. So KP upper will not work on Elite Force. How about Wii? Okay, so there's something in the lower of the Elite Force that really keeps a lot of these from moving. Even if I press on the outer barrel to kind of sink it in a little bit, I am still running into the same issue as I did with the other one. So the Wii upper and the KP upper will not work with Elite Force. Now let's kind of do a crossover with this. How about a KP lower and an Elite Force upper? Okay, no. Or, yeah, no, it's not going to work. Mainly because the recoil spring is just a lot wider. If you look at the difference between the two, you can see how much smaller the recoil springs are. It's very narrow, and then this one's kind of very, very bulky and large. So that's probably going to be a lot of the issue too. I think even in this case too, if I use the Wii lower and we do the same test, again, I'm running into the same problem. I can't even get the slide to really make full contact with the rest of the rails of this particular gun. So Elite Force is not a friendly one to kind of customize across the other platforms. I would say Wii and KP or KJW will probably be the better bet. So another question I get, how about the outer / inner barrels? Are they interconnectable and interchangeable across, we're going to start with KJW and Wii Tech. So we're going to do another one of those where I'm just going to swap parts. The first thing I'm going to swap is going to just be outer barrels. And we'll keep the inner barrels in their respective areas. I'm not going to really mess with those. So we'll see what happens with that. Again, I'll do kind of a quick little speed up here and get these things swapped out, hopefully quick. Okay. Got them taken apart kind of off screen here. I'm going to move the lowers so you guys can see the parts here. So I took, again, we got slide, outer, inner barrel, recoil, slide, recoil, outer barrel with inner barrel. So this is Wii, this is KJW. So right now what we're going to do is let's just do a swap. I'm going to keep the recoil guide rods with their respectable slides. Again, the focus mainly is just on the inner and outer barrels. So here's the Wii barrel right here, and we're going to go ahead and see if it fits into the KJW. It does not. So let me try to focus this a little bit better here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. In this case, it's a very tight squeeze. The outer barrel is much larger than the diameter of the KP17 slide. So I would say outer barrel, it is not going to work. So let me adjust back here. We're going to try again the opposite with now using the KJ barrel in the Wii slide. That works. That actually looks like, let's adjust here. Apologize for my bandage on my hand. Looks good so far. Now let's go ahead and use the respected guide rod that belongs to Wii. And I mean, so far so good. First time doing this. I don't know what we're gonna come across here. Why don't we try it in the Wii lower and see if that works. Again, my worry here is how this part's going to react with this part when it tries to lock together. That's where a lot of the failures are going to happen with this kind of test. Oh, okay. I don't think it's even locking back. Oh no, it did. It did. Well, that's fantastic. For those of you guys that want to rock KP17 KJW barrels and a Wii Glock, it works. It definitely works. Again, it's probably gonna, looks like it chips the paint a lot. Kind of see some of the paint's already starting to chip. Not a problem, but yeah, that works. It seems to work and engage everything that it's supposed to. Let's see if it hopefully field strips the same. I hope I didn't just get this thing stuck, because that would suck. Okay, thank goodness. So yeah, that's cool. So that is a success. Why don't we go ahead and try the Elite Force? So we know one failed, one works. Now Elite Force will kind of be that tiebreaker. Let's see if they're capable of being compatible with any of these. Alright, so here's KJW, here's we. Just so you guys are kind of not losing your place here. I'm trying to myself make sure I'm not getting lost anywhere here. So now, same thing, we're going to just throw the lowers away to the side. We're going to take a look. I could see probably my biggest problem being compatible with any of the other parts is this recoil guide rod. We'll see if there's any interference, but you know, we'll test one thing at a time here. One thing I always hate with this is it gets stuck on the edge there to take the barrel out. Let's start with we first. We're going to go ahead and just, again, focus on outer and inner barrels first. Same exact problem as the KJW that we were seeing. The diameter here is just far too small for the we barrels, because the we barrels are just a little bit bigger. Their diameter overall is much larger. So that is not going to work. KJW, I feel like we're going to have success here, so let's try it out. Same problem, it looks like. It is not wanting to... because I feel like this is almost... And again, I'm not trying to harm any of my guns here, so I'm going to kind of be a little bit extra careful here. Yeah, so that is no dice. So I was surprised. I thought, honestly, that the KJW outer barrel would have fit inside of this, but that is definitely a no-go. So why don't we try now the Elite Force outer barrel and the KJW. Let's see what happens there. Oh, okay. Pretty smooth. It went in, no problem. Looks like the ejection area looks pretty flush. No crazy lumps or anything like that. Spacings. Let's try the recoil rod. So far looks good. KJW looking good. Let's try it now and see if it'll go on the lower frame. And keep in mind, for this to make it to the lower frame portion of the test, I would have had to have it in there successfully like so in order to continue with this test. So far everything has been a failure. Which I feel like this one might be too, because it is not wanting to get on there. Let me try, because I feel like... Oh, we had something there. Yeah, see, sometimes these rods might not want to... Oh, okay. I don't like it. The way that it's functioning, yeah, it's not going to work. It doesn't want to go. So kind of want to listen to your gut instinct and not continue forward to further break it. So I guess appearance-wise, it looks like it fits just fine, but function-wise, it is not going to work. Let's try it in the WeTech slide now. Okay, I figured it's going to fit because, again, the diameter on the Wii barrels is much larger, so it shouldn't have been an issue. Now let's go ahead and same thing, recoil guide rod from the original. We're going to use the Wii lower frame. We got this far, hopefully it works. Yeah, it's, you know what? It's not functional whatsoever, but if you try to rack it without doing anything, it's not going to work. Kind of, well, actually now it did. Because before I actually pressed on this as I'm racking to push the slide, or not the slide, the outer barrel down a little for it to go over the groove to lock back. But then it just does not stay locked in general to the gun. So it's, this is not something that's going to be useful for you. As demonstrated there, not going to be successful. That is also, in my book, considered a does not work. So the barrels across these three are not really that compatible. Elite Force is definitely not compatible with Wii or KJW. For those of you looking to interchange parts there, same goes with the recoil guide rods, quite honestly. I think the Wii and the KJW, they look identical. I think those are going to work just fine. But I mean, there's the difference. There's Elite Force right in the middle. It's much thicker. It's got a different base, head and tip. Basically, it's completely different in size. So it's definitely not going to be successful. Going to throw a little bit of a curveball. How about a garter barrel? I have a steel garter barrel in this Glock 18C, and I'm definitely itching to try it out. I also have a, I think 150% recoil guide rod in this. I don't remember. I've had it for a very, very long time now. This is going to work across most models, but again, I don't want to tarnish another test with a current test, so we're going to just keep things simple and focus on outer barrels slash inner barrels. So here's the garter. This is the steel garter barrel. It has obviously the screw on. It's basically a two-piece item. We already know that the Wii products, including garter, is not going to work with the Elite Force, so I don't even have to try to force fit that in there. I almost have the same sensation that this for the KP17. Okay, it comes together. Keep in mind, being that it's a steel item, it's a lot more heavier. You definitely got a chance to really feel some of that weight now. Let's try it out. We're kind of on the home stretch here with this working. So why don't we try the recoil guide rod. We'll get the lower. I feel like it should work. Could be wrong though. We'll be able to. Alright, let me see if I got this thing on right. Yeah, it's like on the cusp of being put on, but then it just doesn't want to go. And again, it could be the barrel. Sometimes these guide rods, you have to finagle with them a little bit for it to work right. But quite honestly, that should have, yeah, I don't think it works. So the steel outer barrel does not appear to work, as I can't even get the slide to, again, lock together with the lower. The Wii slide we already know works because this is from my Wii Glock 18C, so I don't even need to test it there. The garter barrels will not work for KJW, nor will it work for the Elite Force Glock. A couple questions I've also gotten are attachments. Main questions are is compatibility. So for example, I have this striker piece that I got literally from China. I bought it on eBay. A lot of you guys have also been questioning where I got this. Just go ahead and put in the eBay like Glock 17 striker kit, and you should be able to find these for like no more than $30. I think I bought this for like 24 bucks years ago. Anyway, just compatibility as far as frames go. Every single Glock that I have here has an identical lower frame to pretty much house a laser sight, flashlight, or flashlight laser combo, or these attachments, or they even have the attachment where if you put it on, it basically gives you kind of like a platform or an additional rail up top to mount like a sight, which I think is just extreme in my opinion. But again, all of these rails are going to be identical. So actually this is the WeTech one. So for example, this striker attachment fits right on the WeTech model with no issues at all. It even comes with a little bolt too to secure the striker, so that goes in here somewhere. How about Elite Force? Why don't we see if that works? Keep sliding off there, but yeah, it works just fine. Again, it's kind of loose. That bolt will help secure it down. What about, let's see, the KJW KP17? Perfect. Yeah, that works just fine. My custom Glock, this one is a Marui lower. Yeah, no problem. Glock 19, much shorter rail, so it's probably going to look kind of funky, as I imagined. This is the same exact size as the Glock 23, so not really going to try that one. Glock 35, very much longer as far as inner, outer, and slide goes, so I don't think I'll be able to even, it looks interesting. I don't know if it does it even work? I guess, yeah, it kind of works, but you're not gonna really be able to secure this thing down, but very cool. Not really practical though. But railing size, again, to prove the point, is identical. So whether you have a TM, an EF, WE, or KJW, all the railings on the bottom of the pistol should match just fine as far as sizing goes to fit any standard attachment like this, for example. All right, magazine bases, another one that I've gotten a lot of questions on. So right here I have, if I'm not mistaken, 3 different brands, WE, KJ, and Elite Force. All of them obviously have the official Glock logo. First of all, question number 1, where do I buy a branded Glock mag base? You're going to have to either buy it on Evike, which again, Evike is only going to have the Elite Force branded ones, so you'll probably have to buy a whole mag. I don't know if they sell the bases themselves. But the rest I bought overseas in Hong Kong Airsoft retailers. This extended mag base, this one was from overseas because I have not found any in the States, so you're going to have to do some hunting overseas with Airsoft retailers there. A majority of these, literally 3/4 out of this whole collection, are all from overseas. The Elite Force one is the only one that actually came with the magazine. So the Elite Force one with the authentic trademark, as you can tell, is the only one that's in here that's been included, and I bought it in the US. These 2 are WE, this one's KJW, all custom. But again, the magazines are all identical sizes. These flat mag bases are going to slide onto any magazine that you have that fits in an Airsoft Glock. Hands down, had no issues with it. However, when we're talking this one, this is actually a Stark Arms extended mag base. That's Glock trademarked, as you can tell. And this is a WE magazine. The fit is not ideal. It is pretty poor. So you're going to have to actually put some kind of tape inside to make it kind of a thicker bottom of the magazine for this cover to slide on and not fall off. I can probably just ruin this and show you. So I just put some tape on the bottom, and it's snug. It works, it's practical, it's still easy for me to reload the mag, it's not a headache or anything. This thing holds a lot of gas anyway, so it's not like I'm reloading it every 3 seconds to the point where it's annoying. But again, thought I'd highlight the mag base question that I've also gotten a lot. Alright, other question I've gotten, can I use a Glock 18C lower with a Glock 17 upper, or vice versa? Let me kind of flag why this is probably not going to work, and I know it may seem like it's going to work, but when we're talking function, it's probably not going to function correctly. So first of all, this right here is Glock 18C lower. This is Glock 17 lower, both by WE Tech, just for reference. Again, probably to the untrained eye and maybe novice airsofter, it looks identical, so your assumption is, oh, they probably work. Not quite. So the Glock 18C, you can see, has this additional lever right here, this little notch, whereas the Glock 17 does not. That is, again, how the difference shows when it comes to firing capabilities. So, I mean, you can see everything else is identical, literally like a mirror, except for that hammer assembly. That hammer assembly is a whole nother world when you're comparing the semi-auto only versus the semi-auto / full auto version. Now let me showcase also the slides. So big difference in the slides as well. So Glock 17, Glock 18 with the selector switch. This is where that other differentiation comes in, to where you have a notch in the Glock 18C slide and a pretty much just bare compartment in the 17 slide. So when I flip the switch, here's how the mechanics work. You're going to see that movement on the 18 slide where that little pin basically cycles back and forth. And really what that little pin is doing is it's hitting this little notch right here. If I were to flip it, you're going to see that that little pin in the slide is going to pretty much lay right on this thing, and that's what's really going to help enable that auto fire basically keeps this down, and it's just a resetting process or whatever where it resets the hammer. So again, you can kind of see that little pin, it pretty much goes right over that little notch in the lower, and that's how you again can control that fire. So it won't function if you try to swap the semi-automatic with a full automatic, lowers or uppers. You're going to have probably some catastrophic failures to where it might cycle, but at the same time probably just tear up the insides, which you don't want to do that on your airsoft pistol. Alright, so hopefully that helped answer maybe a majority of your questions as far as compatibility. This of course is a very long and detailed video because again, to get into some of these things, to talk through them, again, it is going to be, you know, quite the lengthy video. But I hope you guys did enjoy just kind of the knowledge out of this. For those of you especially looking to kind of cross build your airsoft Glocks, you know, trying to mix recoil springs, barrels, slides, frames. Again, very very large pieces is really the focus of this. When we get to the more finite and smaller pieces, those are, you know, kind of tread at your own risk essentially, because a lot of things can go wrong. Again, blowback units are going to be a little bit different when we're talking semi-auto only versus the semi/full auto models. Again, those are experiments that you guys will take on as a challenge of your own. I won't be demonstrating that today, but hopefully this was something, just a general overview of just Glocks compatibility. I hope you guys enjoyed, and again, if this is something that appealed to you, especially as a new viewer, definitely hit that subscribe button. Again, I'll always appreciate and admire anybody that helps support this channel. I thank you guys very much. I hope this was informative, and feel free to leave any comments below if I missed anything, or if you want a part 2 to these kind of testings if I did miss something. I'm more than happy to continue to inform you guys. Thanks so much for watching.